Welcome back, and if you're new here, then welcome. Hopefully you stick around. Please subscribe, will do anything. In a recent video, I opened up this DW Collector's Kit that I just realized I'm matching right now, which is totally unintentional. But I opened up this kit, I had some fun with it, I played on it, kind of shared my thoughts on it, because it was my first time really playing a DW and having one in person and, you know, handling one in person and just seeing it in person. And I gotta say, from reading all the comments in that video, people either love DW or they absolutely hate DW. But among the hater comments, a lot of people brought up that adding the pitch to the shell is basically pointless and is just another means for them to charge you more money. So I figured today I would tune up these drums to the notes of the shell and see if they sound any better. But before we get to that, there's a few other comments I wanted to address. First, everybody said that I now need to play a Sonar kit because they're miles ahead of DW. Sonar is another company I have very little experience with, so I guess if I continue this series of playing kits that are 10 times more expensive than the last, then maybe I'll be able to play on a $40,000 Sonar kit, which is way out of my budget, so if anyone from Sonar is watching, then hit me up. And then second, in that video, I showed some clips when I subbed for Bryce at his church, and a lot of people wanted to see more footage of that and hear me play at a church. So if you want to see a church gig vlog, then let me know in the comments. Now, before I retune these drums, let's hear how they sound right now. They should be pretty close to the original video because I haven't played them since. Not to brag about my tuning or anything, but I would say they sound pretty good and they sound like a drum set. But let's see what pitches they actually are and if they're anywhere close to the pitches of the shell. And to help me figure that out, I bought a TuneBot. This is honestly the first time I've ever used one, but it clips onto the drum much like a headstock tuner, and it will tell you the frequency of the drum, plus it'll tell you the note as well as if it's sharp or flat. So the pitch of this shell is a C. Let's see if I was even close to that. Don't forget that a lug screw came undone in the last video, so I need to fix that still. So according to this, the note is a D, a flat D. The pitch of the 12-inch shell is an F. Let's see what I have it tuned to. Right now it's an A sharp and it's also a bit flat, so we are a bit a ways from that F. And the pitch of the floor tom shell is a C sharp. We have a perfect D, so we're only a half step sharp of what the shell is. And then the pitch of the snare shell is an A. We are at an F sharp that is kind of sharp, so again, we're not really close to the A. And last, the bass drum. Hopefully this thing goes this low, and sorry you can't see it, but the note of this shell is a G sharp. And yet again, we have another D, but this one's just an octave lower. So that was interesting. I really don't know what I was expecting, but right now, if I was to play this drum set as a chord, it would sound like this. So basically, we have an augmented triad with a couple octave Ds. But once I finish tuning these drums, it should make this chord. So basically, we just have a C sharp major 7 chord with an added sharp 5. But the interesting thing is with my chord, we have that augmented triad, and that is still there in the DW tuning, just in a different key and technically in a different octave, but still, it's still there. So let's get to tuning. So first of all, I am changing the heads. This isn't gonna be a super scientific video. I just wanna see if tuning to the pitch of the shell opens my third eye and I transcend through the mind of John Good and I can hear him whisper into my wood.
Because it's so hard, it vibrates really great.
Second of all, I thought I would finally give the True Tuner a try because the DW True Pitch Tension Rods take so long to back out by hand. let me grab the big boy. There's a reason DW includes one of these when you buy a kit. These tension rods suck. Also, I need to put that lug screw back in on the 10-inch tom, and while I'm at it, I need to check all of the other lug screws and make sure that those are tight and don't back out while I'm playing anymore. Which that was actually another comment I got a lot of in the original video. Apparently loose screws are common on DWs, or at least on brand new ones. This one's probably the worst. Also, what the heck is that? And last, I want to cut a porthole in the bass drum head. And while I'm at it, I thought I would make a new logo for it too. So now we can finally tune this thing. For all of the toms, I'm using clear Remo Emperors on the batter side and clear Ambassadors on the reso. You might see that I switched to using a drill, which do not do this. I'm really paying attention and making sure that I don't tighten them all the way, and I'm stopping before I hit the rim and leaving them loose. Plus, I'm making sure that I start all of the tension rods by hand before going to the drill. I was just on the Outlaw Drums podcast and told a story about the last time I used a drill on DW tension rods.
Stay away from a drill to tighten your stuff back up. Take it off, but not putting it back on.
Funny story, actually. When I was at Casey Cooper's, we had a DW backline kit. So I was the one tasked with, switching out all these heads. And I decided, let me just save some time and use the drill to put the heads on. The first tension rod I put in, it totally cross-threaded, totally screwed it up. I was like, what did I just do? So yeah, never again. If I haven't made it clear, I hate these tension rods and they are super annoying. But on the snare, I'm keeping the snare side head because I'm lazy. And then for the batter side, I have a slightly used controlled sound coated. The reso bass drum head is the stock DW head, and the batter side is a Power Stroke 3. For every drum, I'm trying to tune the top and bottom heads to the same pitch. I typically tune my rack toms this way. They may not always be 100% the same, but getting them close usually works out fine. It's the easiest and fastest way that I can tune rack toms. And over time, I find that as they detune, there's a bit more of a buffer zone before they really sound bad, compared to if you tune them to, say, a major fourth apart. Then typically on floor toms, I'll tune the bottom head like a half step or even a whole step apart, and usually takes a good amount of tweaking, so again, it's never exact, but I find that tuning to a dissonant interval will kind of get the heads out of phase, but in a good way. I don't know how to describe it, but it seems to cancel out a lot of the weird low ringing and leaves you with a lot of attack with plenty of low end. Watch any of my videos from the past 3 years and you'll hear what I mean. We did it! For the snare, I left the snare side head how I had it because it took forever for me to find the sweet spot for it, and I did not want to mess with it. But something I said that I cut out of the original video is I was always told to tune a concert snare drum to an A, which is the pitch of the shell. So maybe this drum, when tuned to an A, will unlock the secrets of the universe. And for bass drums, I'll usually tune the resonant side a bit higher than the batter, and then I'll muffle the reso side with like a t-shirt, and depending on the drum, I might also muffle the batter side with another t-shirt. So tuning this kit is a lot different than I'm used to, but you may have noticed that I didn't tune the drums to their exact pitch because I wanted to play on them and let the head settle first, then give them the final tuning. And here's how that sounds. if you want to hear these drums by themselves without any music, then you can check out my second channel, link down below. But the kit, it doesn't sound horrible. Personally, I think the 2 rack toms sounded the best. The floor tom was kind of meh. The snare is way too cranked, at least for my liking. The bass drum also isn't too exciting, it's a bit high for my liking, and it also was very tubey sounding and basketball-y, so I did add a t-shirt just to break up the sound. So is it worth it to tune like this? Maintaining the tuning is probably the hardest part because unless you have perfect pitch, then you definitely need a TuneBot. Getting the initial tuning is also pretty difficult because getting a head in tune with itself is pretty simple, but tuning to a pitch is where it gets difficult because once you get all the tension rods in tune with themselves, if it's not the right pitch, then it's kind of a pain to adjust. And honestly, whenever I tune a drum, I don't bother with getting the head in tune with itself because I just tune until it sounds good, even if it means that the head is totally out of whack. So will I ever tune this drum set or any of my other drums to the pitch of the shell ever again? No, absolutely not.